Thank you for asking me, Jim, to be a part of this. Thank you, David. Thank you, Janice. Thank you, Quentin. Where's Quentin? Thank you, Quentin. He's working. Executive director. So I'm going to preface this poem. I normally don't preface my poems, but I read this a couple of times, and then afterwards, I heard rumors that white women were coming to me. They were like, "Do you like what she wrote?" So I have to preface this by saying I am talking about the over 50% of white women who voted Trump into office. And when you think about allies, and I think women are my allies, no matter where I go. And then when I go to the Women's March, I'm like, are you my ally? Like, are you my actual ally? So I wrote the poem in response to that thought about allies. And as an educator, I'm constantly teaching my students. I'm like, we are fighting, but there are people who are fighting with us, and there are people who are fighting for us. But you need to recognize who those people are. So, Black resistance in the time of Trump. If you knew my true name, wouldn't you want to take me there? If you knew who my true name, I said, wouldn't you want to take me there? A river moon, sun child shining, air, blood, and key, stardust blowing, stardust. You needed me. The morning I woke up after the election, the earth stopped spinning. And I had to get my oil changed. That day I walked out into the frozen sunlight, the day I went to Jiffy Lube, and that middle-aged white woman wouldn't speak to or acknowledge me, but I knew. She could see my black blood on the ground. She could see my heart contracting like a red fist on the floor, and that I was bleeding from disbelief. She knew I was an accident walking into that lobby, sitting next to her, reading the newspaper as the labradorite world spun through my chest and face, crashing against my throat, lacerating my jawbone, peeling my breath, engulfing my lungs, suffocating me as my heart quietly beat on the grimy Jiffy Lube floor. But she wouldn't look me in the eye, wouldn't say, "I'm sorry for voting for that despicable man. I'm sorry for doing this to my daughters and my grandmothers. I'm sorry for clan mothers who grinned and burned the genitals of black men swinging from Mississippi trees. Sorry for the hobbling and the cut off ears in the Atlantic Ocean sprinkled with African bones. But you see, I needed you. I'm sorry for Setha, for Pocahontas, for Jim Crow, for Chavez, for Mudbound and microaggressions, and for welfare. I'm sorry I voted out of fear. I'm sorry that black people still make me afraid even after all these years of living around them. I'm sorry I secretly want you all to go back to Africa or Belize or the Dominican Republic or Brazil or wherever you came from. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I have never invited a black person to dinner or to lunch. I'm sorry your great black and Indian grandmothers breastfed my slave master in training babies. I'm sorry my mothers and your mothers were shamed and starved and whipped. Your mothers were raped and feel the rape every morning you wake up in this century. And in some point every day that you are alive, the word appears in bold Hollywood signed letters, and you think about what black and red and brown and yellow people have suffered at the hands of colonizers and slave masters and teachers and scientists and builders and soldiers and white supremacists and well-meaning white people like me who voted out of fear. I'm sorry I voted for the end of all things good. I thought I was doing the right thing. I am afraid of what I don't know, like rap music and collard greens and good times. And what does black magic mean anyway? I'm sorry I don't have any black friends. And I still only talk to that one black woman I work with when I need something done. I'm sorry for Emmett Till and Lumumba and DACA and MOVE and Spanish missions and the fire hoses that tore the flesh off those black children and their mothers. I'm sorry for Jasper, Texas. If you don't know about Jasper, look that up. And Trayvon and Sandra and Eric. But did I tell you I needed you? It wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault. And I'm sorry you can't breathe. I'm just a white woman living in America. I'm just a white woman living in America. I'm sorry I was the Southern belle and you and your mothers mothers laying in the grass with the road we traveled to get here. Your fingers and toes and wombs and hair touching your laughter and tears, escaping green corn harvest, dancers taunting me. Filling my mouth with sweet sorrow, cornbread. I chew tin foil to make myself stop crying at night because I am afraid of all that I don't know. I am sorry. Your heart is on that floor beating, but it's just one heart, right? It's not as if it is a million hearts on that floor, waiting to die. It's not as if I really have to see anything I don't want to. You in Whole Foods, you on the sidewalk in a cardboard box, you under the freeway overpass, you at the movies, you at Macy's. You make me afraid. But I will be damned if I let you see it. I will be damned if I tell you that your heart beating on that floor is my heart too. And I can't breathe either. Didn't I tell you I needed you? But I will be at the Women's March. So we kept quiet at the Jiffy Lube. My historical trauma against her historical trauma. I read the paper and she watched TV. And when her oil was changed, she left. She never looked at me, not once. And the day, my heart, thank you.